Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. My name is Sefa, and with this video you are one step closer to become a front-end expert. In this video we're gonna be taking a look what is useEffect and proper way of using the useEffect. So useEffect is a hook, and a hook is something that a method that React itself that provides to us that we can use throughout our application. A hook must have a use prefix in the name, and for example, use state, use effect, use callback, use memo. These are all hooks, and you can write your custom hook, which I will be mentioning in a future video later on. But in this video, our guest today is useEffect, and useEffect is a lifecycle method that you can use to do some logical things throughout your application. useEffect is run when the component that you are using inside that is being about to render, like just before everything is printed on the UI. So first it runs the code block inside of it, and then depending on the usage that you have, it's gonna either rerun or it's not gonna run ever again until you refresh the whole application or the component is being removed from the UI. For example, we have a console log here, and this useEffect takes a function inside to it as a first parameter, a callback function, and then by separating a comma, you are providing a dependency array, which is something that if you want this useEffect to be run when a state variable changed, then you can pass that state variable inside this dependency array. You can pass more than one since this is an array. It's gonna be running the whole code block inside of it when the variable change. So if you don't provide a variable inside this dependency array, it's gonna run the whole code block inside of it just once. And this return here is run when the component is about to be unmounted from the UI, about to be removed from the UI, and I'll show you an example on that. And if you don't pass dependency array, this is totally optional actually. This whole useEffect is gonna be called, the code block inside of it is gonna run every time a re-render happens inside in this function. If this is gonna be re-rendered somehow, then this useEffect will be called because you don't pass a dependency array here. So let's refresh our page here, run again. So here, as you can see, entering console log is printed twice because currently we are in strict mode, and strict mode runs twice the whole app, like the whole UI, in order to do some safety checks. There are some other key things that strict mode is used for, but for your production app this is not gonna be the case. It's not gonna be running or rendering your UI twice, so don't worry about that. You can check what is strict mode from React documentation or debug comment down below, and I can make a video about it later on. But for now, we need to focus just the last useEffect entering. So we are actually, I can remove, so that won't be an issue. As you can see, when I remove the strict mode, it just prints that out once. You don't need to do this. I'm just showing you, to not confuse you right now. And here, like I said, this is running as just before the UI is rendered. And if I want to, for example, unmount this component from the UI, then it's gonna be running this return here. There are lifecycle methods in class-based components as well. These are kind of matching with them. For example, if I, let's say, want to conditionally render this first child component, I have a state here which is visible. I called that visible. I'm gonna save this, refresh just in case. And if my visible state is true, obviously the first child component is gonna be rendered. But if it's not false, it's gonna be rendering just empty fragments, nothing basically. You can do conditional rendering like this as well, or you can pass another component here depending on your business logic, or you can pass a div. It's totally up to you. Not visible, let's say, for example, in this case, and so you can see better. If I click the change color button, it's gonna trigger this on BG color change function, which comes from the props. And in that prop, we are actually handling that prop inside our parent component and setting our visibility to false. So I want you to pay attention to the console. Now I'm gonna click, and as you can see, this is removed from the UI. It's not being rendered anymore, and it's rendering this because of the conditions here. And while this component, which is first child component, is being unmounted, just before that, this return runs. If there are some effects that you did before this return section here, you can clean up those effects and make your application performance better. And there is that. And also what we can do, let's just refresh so our application starts from scratch. And instead of setting visibility false, let's set our BG color, which is a state again here, and pass it down here. So I passed the BG color as a dependency in the array, and I want to see if it's gonna affect the useEffect lifecycle. And I'm gonna change color, and as you can see, it entered and left because the dependency array causes rerun here. It's gonna be rerunning the code log inside of this, and it's now waiting for another change so that it can run this and run this again, etc. Like this is the way of useEffect works. And instead of doing this from parent component, I can do the same thing inside the functional component itself. I'm just gonna remove this. I'm gonna remove this as well. Save, and set BG color to a new random color here. Clean this up. So instead of triggering the state change from parent, now I have it inside my component. Now this became a local state, and it's gonna be the same thing with the probe. Like if I change color again, since I set a state which is inside the dependency array, the useEffect is going to be run again, as you can see here. And there is one more hook very similar to useEffect, and it is useLayoutEffect actually. Pretty much the same thing, but the main difference with useLayoutEffect and useEffect runs just before UI rendered, but useLayoutEffect runs after everything is rendered, and that's it. Pretty much the rest is the same, so I can save this now, and here you can see it useEffect entering, change color, useEffect leaving, useEffect entering. The logic is pretty much the same. So here again, maybe if I do a conditional rendering, you can see the unmount is also same. I'm gonna save, clean this up, refresh. It entered. Now I'm gonna click the button, and it's gonna set visibility false, which is gonna be rendering this, and this will be unmounted from the UI. And useEffect leaving, as you can see, return run again. So like I said, the only difference with useEffect and useLayoutEffect, if there is some specific logic that you need to do after everything is rendered, then you need to use layout effect. But if you are, for example, fetching data from an API, you can use useEffect just before everything rendered, that you can have the data that you would like to render inside your application. So this is pretty much it for useEffect and useLayoutEffect. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Take care. Bye bye.